When Captain Elara Monroe stepped into the Grand Galactic Council chamber, her boots echoed sharply against the obsidian floor. Behind her, trotting with a happy little bounce, was the reason for the Council's emergency session, a round, fuzzy, golden-furred creature with two button-like eyes and a tail that wagged like a metronome on sugar. "Is that the threat you spoke of?" Ambassador Threx of the Valari Confederacy clicked, his mandibles clacking in disbelief. "Yes," Elara replied calmly. "This is Muffin." A murmur rippled through the council. Dozens of species from across the galaxy were present: plasmic life forms, crystalline beings, multi-limbed arthropoids, and avians in armored suits. All stared at the Earthling's pet as it plopped down and began chewing on what appeared to be a squeaky toy shaped like a neutron star. Councillor J. Zahn, a serpentine being from the gas giants of Beta Oris, slithered closer, narrowing his 12 eyes. "We detected anomalous fear signatures in over 37 systems. Psychic shockwaves, entire planetary populations fainting, all coinciding with this creature's travel route. Are you telling us this Muffin caused them?" Muffin let out a tiny yip and rolled over, exposing its belly. "I know it's hard to believe," Elara said, stroking the creature's fur. "But Muffin isn't dangerous. Not to humans, anyway." "Then what is it?" growled General Korthak of the Ergen Horde, his voice like grinding iron. "We lost 3 dreadnought crews to madness when their scanners picked up its signature." Elara hesitated. "To us, it's just a Pomeranian, a domesticated pet. Harmless. No creature that harmless has an emotional signature strong enough to paralyze telepaths halfway across a quadrant," snapped a crystalline delegate, their surface flashing red with agitation. The truth was, Muffin was a Pomeranian, a particularly fluffy one. But what humanity hadn't realized until it was too late was that human pets evolved in a very specific psychological context. Over millennia, animals like dogs had been bred not just for companionship, but for maximum cuteness, especially to human brains. The phenomenon was so potent that entire sectors of Earth's economy had once been built around adorable content. The problem was, most alien species had never evolved alongside predators that smiled, barked happily, or begged for treats. Worse, nearly every other race in the galaxy viewed emotional manipulation as either an act of war or a form of psychic assault. When Muffin had first wagged her tail at a delegation of empathic Zelthari monks, 6 of them fainted, 2 more began chanting prayers of protection. And when she barked, one ambassador declared her a Class 3 psychological weapon. "I assure you," Elara said again, "she's just excited. She likes new people." "People?" hissed the Y-Trell, a gelatinous being whose race communicated through changes in viscosity. That thing looked directly at me and emitted a boof that pierced 5 of my cognition layers. Muffin wagged her tail and gave a soft bark again. The Andari delegation collapsed. Elara winced. "Okay, maybe it does affect some species more than others." "You unleashed an emotional double UMD," shouted Korthak. "What if the humans have more of these?" "We have millions," Elara said absently. "Though most are smaller, some fluffier. There's a corgi sanctuary on Mars. Oh, and don't even get me started on kittens." The council chamber erupted into panic. Lights flashed red, emergency protocols triggered, and at least 3 different species activated translation failsafes because their languages lacked a word for kitten. "This is an existential threat," declared the chair being, a translucent sphere pulsing with logic. "Humanity is in violation of Galactic Code 17-9, emotional contagion, and unwarranted psychological aggression." "I brought Muffin to prove a point," Elara said, raising her voice over the chaos. "You think humans are dangerous because of our weapons, our war records? But you forget, our greatest weapon is affection. Our most powerful influence comes not through force, but through connection. Muffin yawned adorably, rolled onto her back again, and sneezed. A queue hive being shrieked and began chanting in ancient binary. Elara tried to press on. What you're feeling isn't an attack. It's joy. It's love. Muffin is a distilled form of the emotional bonds that tie our species together. We don't just wage war. We bond, we nurture, we protect. But it's weaponized affection, Threx whispered, shivering. Like a psychic virus. Exactly, Elara said with a grin. You fear us because we can kill. But what if the scarier thing is that we can care? That we can make you care? For a long moment, no one spoke. The council chamber was filled only with the sound of Muffin gently licking her paw. Then the chair being pulsed again. Motion to place an embargo on Earth pets. Seconded came several voices. Motion to declare emotional quarantine around Sol System. Seconded. Motion to study Earth's kitten weapons immediately. Elara sighed. Look, just don't give them catnip. You're not ready for that. As the meeting descended into debates about psychological warfare, emotional deterrence, and the ethical implications of adorability, Muffin wandered off toward a curious cluster of diplomats who had been too late to erect their mental shields. She barked. They melted into puddles of bliss. The galaxy would never be the same.